from the NFL Network, longtime scout turned television star, Daniel Jeremiah. Good to see you, sir.
You didn't know I had a fan club, did you, Rich?
Well,
membership 1.
This was great. Let's get right into that then. Do you have that moment, Mike Del Tufo? So last night, the Steelers are on the clock, or they had just picked T.J. Watt. And, you know, the way that our desk is situated, we're right up against, or at least my back is right up against some of the seats that have been put into this makeshift 3,000-seat arena in front of all 100,000 fans that line up on Benjamin Franklin Parkway. To the point where before the night began, Brockman, you walked right up.
I walked right up and tapped you on the back.
Right.
Hey, what's up?
And I thought, okay, so there'll be security there at some point.
There was not.
And sure enough, right in the middle of this moment, I turn to my left, and there's some dude. He was like in a suit and tie trying to get your attention. And I basically said to him at one point, hey, well, you have it right here? Go for it. We're on the air, sir. Look at this guy right over here. 31st overall. The 49ers just traded up to them? Okay. They traded 34 and 111. Let's go back to the Franklin Institute so we can get this Yahoo out of here. What do you got over there?
It's genius.
Did you know that guy?
Apparently I'm supposed to. And I didn't know who he was. Maybe I'm related to him. I don't know. But he was like, I kept looking over and he said, "It's me. It's me." And hey, how's it going?
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Was it Trubisky? No.
I don't know. But then what did I say to you after the show?
Go ahed.
I just said, "Rich, I get one fan and you shoo him away? Really?" That's my one guy.
Amazing.
Oh my gosh. I mean, we had that last night, and then the way it started. I don't remember. I've done 14 of these on the network, 12 in person. You've done how many drafts?
Going back to 03.
Okay. So I've never heard of a team at 3 calling a team at 2 and saying, let's do some business. I've never heard of anything like that. And I asked you last night, did you think that the Niners asked the Bears, who are you going to take before we pull the trigger on this?
I'm sure that was taking place. And this is the way I imagine this went down. Maybe we'll never find out the real story. But I'm sure that John Lynch had talked to Ryan Pace behind him and had said, look, we got a lot of action on this pick. In fact, I have a preliminary deal set up with the team, and I believe it's for the quarterback. So for whatever it's worth to you, if you don't want the quarterback, just forget it. No big deal. We would rather trade with you than them because we wouldn't have to go very far. So we're just giving you a heads up that that's in play. We're not going to stay at 2. We're getting out of here.
Well, if that's the case, then this makes it very interesting what Michael Lombardi's reporting on his Twitter account. And Lombo's going to be on our show in studio Monday. I can't wait to ask him. Go ahead. Did Lombo's reporting what right now?
Well, Lombo is calling the teams behind those 2 teams to see if they called San Francisco, Jets, other teams. Said no. Nobody called them.
He has yet to find a team that said, yeah, we were talking to San Francisco.
Wow.
So is it possible Lynch, in his first go-round here, was creating something out of whole cloth?
The other thing he could have said, though, is he could have said, we're going to take Trubisky. And, we're close. We're divided in the room, but we're right now leaning towards taking him.
Which may be true.
Which could be true. And they could say, we would, if we could get some sugar, if we could move back a spot and get extra picks, then that would be enough to tip it to the point where we wouldn't take him.
And he got 3 extra picks, 2 in this draft, 1 in next year's draft, and he used one of them to pop back in and get Reuben Foster. Do you like what they did? Solomon Thomas and Reuben Foster?
I love it. If they keep Reuben Foster healthy and focused, he could be an all-pro.
2012 draft, Rich. Remember 4-3 Vikings and Browns trade. Moved up 1 to get Trent Richardson.
The Browns
gave up 3 picks as well later in the draft. For
Winslow,
that
too.
Move. Yeah.
We did the Kellen Winslow year. They moved up 1 spot for Winslow.
I guess I didn't remember that. Thank you for bringing that up. Reuben Foster was 9th on your top 50 list, and he went at 31. And the only one not on your top 50 list who got drafted last night was Mahomes.
Yep.
And the Chiefs came up from all the way down. We thought it was for Watson. And then you and Mayock are like, it could be Mahomes here too. We go to break, we come back, and it's Mahomes.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody, we were talking about his style of quarterback, and we're thinking about all the work he's done with Alex Smith. And you got to remember, he had Donovan McNabb, who has all the physical tools you could ever want, is much more an explosive player, a thrower. than Alex Smith. And you also had somebody that when nobody would touch Michael Vick, Andy Reid brought him on because he had that special ability. Mahomes has that. He is nowhere near being ready to play. I think it's a 2-year project. That's why I didn't have him in my top 50. But if there's one team that can figure this thing out with him, he went to the right place.
Daniel Jeremiah here on the Rich Eisen Show. What are the Browns doing, do you think? You know, Ian Rappaport said that they were trying to trade up. I mean, trying to get Kirk Cousins last night was the veteran quarterback they tried to pry loose. And, man, do they have the draft choice firepower to get what they want, most likely, if a team's like, sure, I'll take all your draft picks off your hand, or value them in the same way that clearly the Browns front office values theirs. Tonight, do we hear the Browns go for a quarterback? Tomorrow? What do you think here?
I think you'll see them draft one. The name that we haven't really talked about, too, is A.J. McCarron, who's played for Hugh Jackson. I know it's in the division. The Bengals never trade, and surely they wouldn't trade a quarterback in the division. But, man, they've got a lot of capital. If they wanted to get creative, there's a way they could do that instead of just watching McCarron walk out the door soon. So I keep his name in the mix.
Tonight? Tomorrow?
Yeah, it could potentially be. Yeah, and again, with all the picks they have in next year's draft, I don't know how much they'd have to even part with for the rest of this weekend.
Or do they just, we were talking about it on the air last night. Who's available at the quarterback spot in next year's draft?
Oh, it's good. I would advise if you're a Bears fan, I wouldn't advise watching the SC UCLA game next year. You might have a little buyer's remorse.
And who else?
You've got a kid up at Wyoming who can come out who's big and strong and is a great athlete. And I'll tell you, there's one at Oklahoma State who's a really good player. We're talking about prototypical size. We're talking about guys that are 6'4", these 230-pound guys that can move around. I mean, I just think that it's a much better group. Luke Falk from Washington State is a really good player who's going to be a senior next year. I just think right now, with the preliminary work that I've done, I think it looks like a much better class next year.
I know you like Peterman, right? That's the kid in the next day or two year that may be that mid-round gem of a quarterback who blossoms into somebody that we didn't see coming. Is that what you're saying?
I think the two guys that are kind of in that discussion are Peterman, and you also look at Josh Dobbs from Tennessee. Those are the two names that people are identifying as that third, fourth round. We have to see what happens, though. I mean, I imagine Kaiser and Webb will go pretty quick here tonight.
You think so?
I think so.
Who do you think they go tonight?
Well, Cleveland coached Webb at the Senior Bowl, and the guy was the MVP of the game and had a pretty good week for them. So
Cleveland does not have a second round. Well, they do have a second round choice for the Titans.
Yeah. Don't they still have two left?
Well, they gave up the one to start the night.
The
Packers have the first one tonight, and Cleveland has a pick from the Titans sitting there at 52 overall.
Yeah. That could be one of them.
That could be one of them. And then Cleveland is first up in round 3.
Fun storyline. Obviously, Big Ben, Ohio quarterback, Miami of Ohio, dominated Ohio as a Pittsburgh Steeler. A Pitt quarterback, Peterman, going to the Browns, and maybe dominating that division for the next 10 years. How fun of a storyline would that be?
Peterman. I don't know if I'm going to throw the Big Ben label and dominating. I think I'm going to shy from those comparisons.
Right. Law's just doing anything he can to get a storyline going.
That's
what he's trying.
He's working.
Did you pull something over there with that one?
How fun would that be? That would be ultimate vindication for the Browns.
So the Packers and the Seahawks tonight. I want to ask you about those two teams because the Packers very rarely trade out, and apparently Ted Thompson says I'll keep trading down. Mm-hmm. And I thought this is supposed to be a deep draft, and the Seahawks have twice as many draft picks tonight as anybody else.
6, right? Is that right?
6 of them. That's next in 60 seconds with Daniel Jeremiah. And get on the phone lines, people. 844-204-RICH. We'll take your calls here on this busy Friday from Philly. All right, welcome back. Go ahead and repeat that, what you just said, Daniel Jeremiah, with seconds to go here.
Yeah, this was from a Twitter handle football perspective. Had the Bears not beaten the 49ers in this December game, Chicago wouldn't have had to trade up for Trubisky.
Oh, my gosh.
4 picks.
I mean,
interesting, right?
There's a salty pour that's been going on since the Trubisky pick. I mean, Wilbon was
on fire.
Said it was the most
shocking
thing he's had with the Bears ever in his 50 years as being a follower of the team.
Wow.
That's what he said. Daniel Jeremiah here on the Rich Eisen Show in studio. Your top 5 available going into tonight's second and third rounds. Dalvin Cook, he's 15th on your list.
Yep.
Followed by Forrest Lamp, the guard out of Western Kentucky. Alvin Kamara of Tennessee, another top running back sitting there. Quincy Wilson, corner out of Florida. And then Budda Baker the safety / slot guy sitting there out of Washington. Which one is first, do you think, off the board tonight?
I would actually guess it might even be a guy that's just a little bit lower down there, Kevin King. I think we'll see Kevin King go really early. I think we'll see a run on corners. I know there's a lot of big-time running backs still there, but I think you're going to see these corners go real quick.
You got a Woozy out of Colorado that's sitting there at the corner. You've got, as you said, Kevin King.
Quincy Wilson's going to go.
Tease Tabor.
I think Tease might slide a little bit.
Okay. I'm just reading off your top 50 right now.
Yep.
What are you hearing on Cook?
It's funny. I was talking to some teams last night when we got back to the hotel, and teams that through this whole process have said, we're not touching Dalvin Cook. We don't feel comfortable with him off the field. Not happening. First round and second round. When do you think we could get Dalvin Cook? So it's just funny how that works. They didn't want to do it in the first round, but now we're sitting here going, okay, he's been punished enough. This is too good of a football player.
So you got a guy in Dalvin Cook, all right, who's had some red flags, who's sitting there. We had, Jimbo Fisher here. As you might imagine, he was singing his praises for sure.
Yeah.
And then you got Gary Conley, who goes 24th overall. He is under investigation in Ohio right now for rape.
Yeah.
And the Raiders say, we've done our due diligence. I mean, and Ian said, I guess the Ravens put him on a polygraph.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That he passed. I don't know what to make it. Walk me through this process here with Conley.
So
DJ.
I talked to a team prior to last night that said they had sent their security team and had been with law enforcement and had seen everything involved with the case and felt that there was like an overwhelming amount of evidence in his favor that there was nothing going to come of this. And they said, we're taking him in the second round. So I thought, okay, I don't know if anybody will do this in the first round, but they felt like they were one of the few teams that had all this information. Well, obviously, I'm sure his representatives made sure that information got in front of other teams, because I talked to another team today that echoed what I'd heard from the first team and said they were going to take him in the second round. So there's two teams that were lined up to take him in two, and the Raiders, I'm sure, got that information and said, we're not going to wait. We're just going to take him.
What do you think the Seahawks are going to do tonight? They got 6 picks. What do you think they're going to do this evening?
I think you can look at a couple different areas. I think you look at get an offensive lineman. Right now, with Forrest Lamp and Cam Robinson still on the board, that would make some sense at the start here.
They picked second tonight, so they're going to get one of them.
Yeah, I would think the first pick makes sense to get to the lineman.
Right.
And then after that, I think you start looking at trying to get some secondary players. Look at some depth at corner. Who knows what's going to happen with Richard Sherman going forward, but I think you start to see that process. And then on the offensive side of the ball, Rich, I wouldn't be surprised if with all these picks that they've amassed here, if they picked a quarterback.
Say what?
I just telling you, there's some interesting quarterbacks still available there, and
for Seattle.
For Seattle, there's some buzz, some chatter out there that don't eliminate the quarterback position with the Seahawks.
I got to ask the follow-up question, Daniel.
What's for lunch? I haven't eaten anything,
No,
Rich.
no, but why?
Pizza was a little heavy before we go.
Why would the Seahawks be in the hunt for a quarterback here?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you look at what their backup situation is, obviously, with Boykin getting a little bit of trouble. But I get the sense that hey, they get somebody in there with Russell Wilson there, we might have some little competition coming in. That's all I'm saying.
Always compete.
It's captain compete. Said. I mean, Pete Carroll brings in Will Ferrell as captain compete.
And then the Packers are sitting there in the catbird seat of they'll take the best player available, which, we're in that part of the draft. Or, Ted Thompson, his phone line will be just lighting up for somebody who is concerned that Kaiser might not be there if they love him. He's sitting there in the green room tonight. I mean, what are you...
Can I give you the team for Kaiser?
Please.
Where's Arizona picking?
Arizona picks 45th overall, about 13 picks into tonight's draft.
I'll say that Arizona will, if one of them are there, I would think they will pick either Webb or Kaiser.
But Buffalo goes right before them. Jets 39th overall.
That could be a Kaiser. Kaiser's going to go here pretty soon. I just would keep an eye. If Arizona, if one of those two guys is on the board, I would be shocked if it wasn't the pick for the Cardinals.
Well, who do the Packers need that you look best available? Should they take one of these running backs?
One of some good running back options right there. I mean, to me, Mixon's the best player of all these guys. I don't have him in my top 50 for obvious reasons. Mm-hmm. I was told that's probably not going to happen with Green Bay. I think Minnesota is a team you keep an eye on for Mixon. And then, but look, Dalvin Cook or Kamara in Green Bay, they would be great fits.
What are you hearing about LeGarrette Blount, by the way? He's sitting out there as a free agent.
It's a bad time to be a free agent running back.
That's what I said. You got to do it before the draft, right?
Yeah, D'Angelo Williams, too.
Pull the trigger right before the draft.
Yeah,
because these guys, I mean,
take whatever you can get at that point in time, because that number's only going down.
That's why Adrian Peterson signed, I think.
Yeah.
Obviously. I mean, sign on the dotted line when you got a chance. Lynch came in because the Raiders were basically saying, let's get this thing done.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's going to be a little bit of a game of chicken, I think, with these running backs, because there's so much depth. There's so many good guys. Is that the longer people wait, they go, man, we're going to end up getting guys in the 4th round that are pretty darn good.
Daniel Jeremiah here for a couple more minutes here in studio on the Rich Eisen Show before we head down to the Art Museum and hang out for an inordinate amount of time tonight and tomorrow. Man,
you sound excited, Rich.
No, I do. I mean, that was a hell of a scene last night. That really was.
It's pretty awesome.
You know,
very cool to be there.
And you know, I'm looking at. I talked about this with Billick. He brought it up too. Man, oh man, do I like what the Titans did last night. I know that Corey Davis, you'd think that might be a reach, but I mean, he's very talented. How many small school receivers have we seen hit it big time in the National Football League, including the one who Steve Smith comps him to in Terrell Owens, right? And then Adoree Jackson. I mean, how do the Titans not win double-digit games next year? But
they're right there.
They are. Don't you think they're a playoff team?
I talked to somebody last night, a team that was really bumming on the Adoree Jackson thing. They said he was a top corner on their board. So he's somebody that's so electric. They're going to get big plays out of him on special teams as well. You can sprinkle him in on offense. I think Corey Davis, I was asked who's your just first round, early stab at it. Who's the offensive rookie of the year? Corey Davis was my pick.
Who was yours? You had McCaffrey, right?
McCaffrey.
How does because you got the most versatile. We talked about it on the set last night when McCaffrey got chosen. Most versatile quarterback in the league in Cam Newton, and you got the most versatile running back in the league potentially in the rookie class in McCaffrey, who can do it all. You want to pound the rock with Jonathan Stewart. You've got Kelvin Benjamin and Funchess, monster guys outside. You've got Olsen right there. You've got a plethora of Khalils.
Do you even know what a plethora is?
That's right. Did you say plethora? Do you guys know what movie that's from?
No
idea.
No, gosh.
Oh, God.
Three Amigos. Come on.
Okay,
now.
I could have guessed based on the accent.
Steve Martin?
Come on, F.A.
Steve Martin, right?
Did you say plethora?
Is it Martin Short? Steve Martin?
You've got a plethora of Khalils up front. I like that.
No, I love what they're doing.
Like that.
This is funny. This is the best part about Twitter, because I said last night.
Is there?
This is the best part, because I said Cam Newton last year 52.9%. I said he's going to get 5 or 6 easy throws to McCaffrey a game, and that number's going to go way up. And so somebody on Twitter hits me up and did the math for me, which I guess is, so you're saying you think he's going to catch 80 plus balls? This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And I'm sitting here going, didn't Danny Woodhead just catch 80 balls like 2 years ago in this exact same role that McCaffrey's going to be playing? How is that outlandish to figure that one out?
Look, man, if you respond to the trolls.
I didn't respond, Rich.
Okay, good.
Until I got on a national radio program.
Come on. If you respond to the trolls, it's like bees to honey with Yahoos coming up during live programming.
Yahoos.
Be careful.
I think I only have one guy, though, that follows me around to all my different outlets, and we saw him last night, so he's the only one that I've got to worry about here.
Good to see you here, man. I look forward I love working with you and Mayock. Charles Davis is going to come into the mix tonight. He got Derek Barnett drafted. A Tennessee Volunteer actually got drafted before he comes on the set with you after they went 0 for the draft last year.
I'm calling Derek Barnett the Archbishop of Defense, by the way. That's my nickname for him.
What do you think of that?
You know, the Minister of Defense from Tennessee, Philadelphia.
I like that.
The Archbishop of Defense.
But I don't. Minister of
sticking.
Defense is a governmental title, not a religious title.
Yeah, but he was also a preacher, so that's why he was the Minister of Defense.
There was a dual purpose of it.
Yeah, he was.
I kind of like this.
The Archbishop of Defense.
It's a little long, a little wordy.
I mean,
I was going to go Deacon, but there's Deacon Jones, Deacon of Defense.
You're talking to a Jew here, so I'll have to defer to you if that is the appropriate.
Rabbi of Defense?
Hey, what do you guys think about this real quick? Adam Schefter just tweeted out, Browns inquired last night about trading for Garoppolo. We're told once again, Patriots not interested.
That's what I'm saying. At some point, when you've got all of those first and second rounders, it's time to cash them in. And then when you cash them in, do you do it to trade up to get your guy? Do you do it to trade up to trade it for another team for your guy? Or do you draft these guys and actually put a roster on the field intended to win football games at that time and make a playoff season in real time? At some point, you must hit the win now button. And Cleveland fans should be patient. And I hope that Jimmy Haslam is patient, that this is the process, trust the process. But I haven't seen that happen in the National Football League yet.
I just think they're trying to build the ship before they put the captain on the boat.
Isn't this why the Seahawks would take a quarterback, though? Because they can get a quarterback. They have 6 picks, second or third. And in 2 years, they might ship that for 2 first-rounders. Like the Patriots are doing with Garoppolo, right?
There might be other smoke there out of Seattle.
We'll see.
All right, let's take a break here. Thank you for coming on, sir.
Thanks for having me,
I
buddy.
appreciate that.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.